And we're back with the LaSala Show, episode 53. Hey, hi, hello. My guest today is
Howdy.
Thomas Ayres. How say you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Sundays are usually reserved for the NFL and my Green Bay Packers. And we came away with a win today, even though our season is basically over, so it doesn't really matter, but it was still nice nonetheless.
Oh yeah, man. Go out with the win. Yeah.
Yeah, why not, So what the hell you been doing, man?
I'm kind of at that end of the year mentality. I'm getting a little introspective. I'm starting to sort of think about plans for 2023. Um, I always start off every year, not necessarily with New Year's resolutions, but I try to put forward some goals. And usually if I can get half of them done in the year, that's usually a good year. So I don't hold myself like trying to get every single goal done, but I try to be ambitious and set out several things. And so, yeah, I'm in that point of view right now, thinking about 2023. Also, just feeling a little bit relieved after the last election. The midterm elections turned out a lot better than I thought they were going to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was really expecting a fairly decent sized red wave, just because historically in the midterms, the Democrats turn out less than they do in the presidential election. So it just seemed like it would fit the natural historic pattern.
Right.
Um, and the Republicans still got the House, but only by a few seats. So um, I don't know. It just really surprised me, the way that everything turned out.
Yeah, me and my fiance went and voted, and it's one of those things. It's like you're just going through the motions because you just know that nothing's going to change in this certain part of Louisiana.
Mhm.
And you're just kind of, you know, hopefully canceling out somebody else's vote and hoping for the best. But, you know, this is not a
Well,
red, this is not a very blue state either. So,
yeah, no, I feel you, man. I mean, Texas. I'm in a state that we've gone through the whole Beto thing a couple times now, and I've been telling my Democrat friends here in Texas, it might be time to move on from Beto. And I mean, I think he's a good organizer. It's sort of like with Stacey Abrams in Georgia, really excellent organizer, and she's got a lot of people registered to vote. Um, and so it counteracts some of the weird voter purges and other stuff that they do. Uh, but some people are really good organizers. They're not necessarily the best candidates.
right,
So, maybe they have some serious skills, but it's just not going to be as an actual candidate. It's maybe helping someone else to
right.
get over the line, you know.
Yeah. What do you think about our current president? How say you on that?
And, I mean, I'm basically go Dark Brandon. I mean, no, I'm basically go for it, dude. Look, I mean, if the choice is between a kind of aging, uh maybe not perfect, like Democratic president who's at least trying to play by the normal rules, and having some kind of wannabe king who's going to be like a dictator and suspend the Constitution. I mean, if those are the two choices, I'll pick, like, having a democracy, having a constitution, and let's go Dark Brandon.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would take a fish tank over, what we had last last time. Just how say you fish tank and just or like an 8 ball, a magic 8 ball,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
you know,
It's going to be a lot more difficult for the 8 ball to commit treason or try to
right,
overthrow the government.
right. All
Unless there's
signs,
a side in there somewhere that I never saw when I was a kid.
yeah. You shake it up, all of a sudden it says January 6th. You're like, what? Shake it up again. Hold on. So,
But yeah, I mean, I don't just blanket agree with every single thing that Biden's done, but generally speaking, he's trying to be like a normal president. He's like guided us back off of the cliff. We're still close to going over the cliff, but we at least backed, like we were standing, or like our toes were already over the side of the cliff when he came on board. And he managed to walk us back at least a few feet, or you know, so we have a little bit of breathing room now, but we can't get complacent. But that's part of why I was pleasantly surprised with the midterms, because people didn't get complacent again. I was concerned that a lot of Democrats would say, well, yeah, I live in a red state, why bother to vote? Or it's just going to be the same old crap anyway. I don't feel like going out there. It's raining today, whatever. But enough people found it important. I think the overturning of Roe versus Wade had a lot to do with that. A
right,
lot of women woke up, maybe some women that weren't interested in politics a whole lot or didn't follow stuff much. They suddenly woke up and were like, no,
right,
no,
yeah.
we can't have this.
A
I
lot
mean, you're
of
taking away a right of like half of the population,
right,
like roughly half the population of the US, maybe slightly more than half. So, and it affects guys too. I mean,
oh yeah,
so it's not even like it was just a women's issue. It's like a human issue. So that was a bit, I think that's a case of the Republicans use that as kind of a marketing tactic for conservatism and used it as a hot button issue that they could press whenever they needed. Especially, the Republicans have always been a little bit better at the midterm election cycle. They've always been a little bit more aware of what the actual game was. And so they'd press those hot button topics to get people all angry and stirred up right before their midterms to get their candidates across the line. And I think they always looked at it as an issue that they could use like that. But then over the decades, it turned into people getting more and more serious about it coming up in the ranks of the Republican Party. And then finally, it was the Republican dog caught the abortion car. And now they're finding out, F around and find out. And
right.
so the midterm election was them, finding out this
What?
is going to be the cost when you go against something that's like popular with like, or approved of, I'll say that, maybe not popular, but approved of like 70% of the country.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a price for that.
it was fought for. I mean, shit, there was
Yeah.
lengthy, you know, debates, and they fought for that shit, and rightly so. Jesus Christ, my body, my choice. Whatever happened to that?
Well, I remember during the pandemic there was a lot of my body, my choice, and I thought that's really
Right,
interesting. That
right,
got flipped around. So we'll use it for mask mandates. Hey man, no mask, dude. My body, my choice, dude.
right,
But then for your wife or your girlfriend, or for your mom or your sister, it's going to be suddenly it doesn't work.
right.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. What do you
But
think
I
about?
love those moments where they kind of self own, like they accidentally turn the mirror back on themselves. And it's like, you just caught yourself, dude.
Yeah,
We didn't
look,
even have to bust you. You just busted yourself.
contradictory. What about the student loan forgiveness act that's being held up? Do you have any student loan yourself?
No,
Debt? No?
no. My wife did for a while, and she was paying on it for a while. And then eventually she was luckily in a situation where she was able to get it down enough where she could just pay it off
Nice.
and be done with it. Yeah, I understand people have mixed feelings about it, but the way I look at it is this: even if you want to look at it from just a purely political perspective, if you look at what the Republicans do, where they will get elected to office and promise, oh, the people, we're going to do this and that, we're going to get the infrastructure bill, which they never did, over multiple administrations. They never did that. They promise all this stuff, but then when they get into office, they basically just cut taxes for billionaires, multinational corporations, any sort of special interests that are lobbying heavy in Washington. So, um, like they don't they don't ever actually deliver anything for the people that actually elect them. They just deliver to the donors, the people that donate to them. Whereas when the Democrats go in, hey, at least they're going to try to get some programs through. At least they're going to try to help people out. So even if you want to look at it politically, at least Biden was trying to give these like 20 somethings, these 30 somethings. Some of these people are in their 40s and 50s and haven't paid off their college loans yet.
Right.
And I think you could get into it, like that could be a topic for a whole podcast about the different causes of that tuition going up, and the whole lending practices around student loans are really shady. I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean,
there are some predatory, sketchy stuff going on, that could probably be regulated a little bit tighter. But no, I mean, Biden is just doing something for these people trying to think about, getting their first house, or are they going to have one kids, or are they going to try to have two kids? And so, like, if you get your student loan, at least, brought down, if not paid off entirely, just brought like down, that like helps them out. And then during the midterms, they turned out and we're like, yeah, thanks, Biden. So, like there was a record turnout of, you know, from, first time voters, 18 up to about age 30 or so. There was a huge increase in participation in like voting especially for midterms. So, I mean, Biden is Biden, even if you just want to look at it in that limited way, like Biden is doing what the Republicans do. I mean, he's doing the same thing, even if you want to be, I don't know, sarcastic about it. So, but yeah, there's like a lot of stuff going on there. I understand that some people resent it because they're like, well, I paid off my student loans, and now people
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just get this reduction. Where's my reduction? So
Right. Shouldn't I get some
I
money
kind of see
back?
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see a lot of. I mean, basically, I only go on Facebook just to post, my episodes and put jokes up or whatever, post shit about the Packers, and some people get really serious on there. And when that first came out, a lot of people were like, I paid my shit off. Why are these people getting these freebies? These freeloaders. That's my tax dollars that's gonna have to pay for that. And I'm like, all right,
Well,
relax.
their tax dollars also get handed over to corporations that are getting billions of dollars in profit every year, but yet they're still getting subsidized.
Right.
So a lot more of their money is going to people who really don't need it. I mean, at least with the students, you are helping like average Americans
Your
generate.
fellow classmates. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Not some fucking CEO of some billionaire company. So I was
And
like, all
that's
right.
how they and that's how they've justified it for decades. I mean, they've been running this game ever since at least Reagan, that I can remember. The whole, Reagan had the trickle down economics, and it's always the idea of, oh, if we give these huge tax cuts and these tax breaks to these huge companies and to these billionaires, they'll like really be, thankful for that. And they'll take that money and they'll put it back into the local area and create businesses and invest in other businesses, and those are going to hire more people. And next thing you know, everybody, it's like that money's coming down just because of the kindness of the, people at the very, very top, like the top 1%. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. They game the system so that they don't have to pay taxes, and then it's all the rest of us that get stuck paying taxes. they
Right.
they use the bridges, they use the highway system, they take advantage of all of the different systems that like federal government research that gets turned into things like iPhones and stuff like that. They don't pay for a lot of that basic research.
Right.
It's the feds that pay for that. It's taxes that pay for that. So yeah, they've just been running that same game for so long. And what amazes me is that people just don't ever really wake up to it and see what they're doing. And all of these different issues that they can stir up, like over guns or over you know, the war on Christmas or just all this BS that they can stir up. It keeps us at each other's throats, fighting with each other over crumbs. You know, we're down like at the bottom of the table fighting over the crumbs that fall off of their table. Meanwhile, they've got the feast up on the table. And
Right.
sorry, man, I'm getting a little buzzed here. So
Same here, brother. Same here. It's a football Sunday, so I've been drinking since like 11. I'm surprised. How do you feel about Elon Musk? What are your hot takes on that billionaire? Speaking of the rich.
yeah. Um, well, one thing I've noticed amongst my circle of friends and just different people I keep up with is that it's been a couple months now, maybe more than a couple months now, since I've had to listen to any of them say, "Oh, well, he's such a genius." So
Yeah.
people are not really making comments like that anymore. I've kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I mean, I don't know. I see it from two sides. On one side, I think he's really screwing up Twitter, and it's one thing if it's some kind of crypto bro thing and it's just between you and some other billionaire guy, and you're like, "Yeah, bro, I bought this company, man, because I just thought their logo looked sick. So yeah, man."
Right.
I mean, it's one thing if it's something like that, but or yeah, I got this NFT, man. I just threw this money away. I know it's bullshit, but whatever, man. It's one thing if they're doing that, it's like, well, there's no victims, but like this is an actual, you know, company that's important, not in all circles of society, but like in business promotion and like politics, like the news media, journalists and all that stuff. Twitter is kind of important, and the whole verification thing was a used to be a serious thing, and now it's like, oh, they're just going to sell that now. Like, there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
like
weird stuff that's going on.
there's a gold check, there's a green check, and there's a blue check, and it's like picking a subscription level for your HBO Max or like how like do you want the premiere version of Twitter? Like are you active on Twitter at all?
No, I stayed off of it. Like, even with Facebook, I was on there for like 3 or 4 months, way back in the day, like probably like 2009 or something. And it just creeped me out. The algorithms, I
Yeah.
saw some of what they were doing. And the one thing that really creeped me out that got me off of Facebook for good, was I was off of it for like a couple weeks. And then I got back on there, and there were these weird, creepy kind of auto messages of like,
Mm.
uh, so and so clicked on a like of, should someone check in with Thomas because we haven't heard from him in a while. It was some kind of weird notification. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what. I don't know if you have seen those before, but it was like triggered by inactivity or something like that. And I was
Right.
just like, man, I don't need them tracking me like that. I mean, I know that they, you know any Google search, anything that you do online is basically an open book if they want to, like, if somebody has the resources and wants to like dig into it. So I already knew that going in even back then, but I just wasn't ready for the creepy algorithms. And then when I was trying to exit it, I'm like on my computer, like, yes, delete account, whatever, let me out. And it kept going to these different tiers of, are you
Are you
sure you
sure?
want to go? Okay, click here. And then it's like, and then it threw up pictures of like 4 or 5 different people's little avatar images or like account images. And it's like, your friends are really going to miss you a
Wow.
lot. It
Yeah.
was like, wow, man, that made it even more like, get me out, get me out.
A Twitter guilt trip. Yeah.
And that was forever ago. So no, man, I never did Twitter. I just saw it as a way to ruin someone's career or ruin someone's marriage,
Yeah. I
or
mean, the only thing I
ruin
see from
someone's friendship, or with friends or family or whatever.
right, or like with Kanye West, ruin $1 million deals that he has with people and or $1 billion like the dude is a verbal diarrhea machine on Twitter now, just saying all the wrong shit, going on with Alex Jones. talking about how he loves Hitler or there are some good things about Hitler. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I I had this joke a while back where before you log into Facebook, you should have to blow into a breathalyzer before you're able to post anything because I feel like a lot of people's uh posts are alcohol or substance abuse sort of
Yeah,
induced.
mental
So
health.
yeah, like you have to sit down with the counselor before you post this and or like
Maybe like
it
eventually
should
get a license,
yeah, it should be like
social media 101.
trying to leave Twitter. It should be like, are you sure you want to post this? And then it makes you go through all these little clicks and links to make sure you're coherent enough to post it, you know?
That might, I mean, that could be a whole app. Something like that might all already exist. I
Yeah.
came up with a little version for myself because sometimes I get on YouTube and I'll get on a little tear and I'll get in the comment section of some video
Oh,
where it's not even worth it. It's just not even worth it. And uh but I came up with a little trick because what like happens to me is I'll comment on something because at the time I'm like whatever. So I'll comment on it and then a couple days later I keep getting in my feed, I keep getting notices of like someone else commented on this, someone else, blah blah blah. And after a while, it's like, man, I don't even hardly remember that video now. So I'll
yeah,
sometimes I'll go back and delete my comment just so I won't get all the updates
right.
constantly. But another trick I've been using lately that has helped me a little bit is if I feel that urge to like comment, I'll go ahead and enter my comment and then I won't click it. I won't hit send
Yeah, you go like
or whatever.
take a walk
So
around the
I'll just
block.
give it, I don't even have to do that. I just give it 5 or 10 seconds. And at least half of the time I look at my comment and it comes down to, one, it's stupid, or I don't even agree with my own comment. And, or two, it doesn't matter. This is insignificant. Like, this
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Three, like, who am I commenting on? It's probably, it's 50% chance that it's a bot.
right.
So I just go over those things and then I just delete. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I got it out of my system, but I didn't have to share with the world. Just, you know,
Yeah,
let it go, man. Like Bill
the
Burr says, just let that shit go.
the few times I've gotten into arguments with strangers online, it's been about sports. And it's like
I could see how that could get really heated really
it'll
quick.
it'll be like a throwaway comment like, oh, this player sucks. He needs to retire. And I'll be like, you know what the hell you're talking about? And I'll like type out his stats and like, and then it just goes on from there. Then I'm just like, all right, this is a waste of time. You know, I'm already wasting time enough watching sports. Now I'm talking about it, like, but I have a whole podcast where I talk sports. So there you go. But
No,
yeah,
I mean, that's like part of the brand,
yeah,
that's, you got to do that.
I guess. So, okay, you're talking about your goals for next year. So you're not one of these guys that makes a one singular New Year's resolution and then by January 20th it's falling to shit. Like you have like a bunch of different ways to go with it.
Well, I've done that before. I mean, I've been that guy like several times of like, yeah, but January 20th might be generous,
Oh,
or
okay.
like January 10th. But yeah, I mean, I think it's better to just get an idea for, I mean, things will pop up during the year that you can't foresee. So you always have to factor in stuff like that. But yeah, if I can come up with like say like 4 to 6 things, like for example, next year I want to put out another CD. I need to figure out some sort of online promotional platform for my music, which I'll probably do Spotify, but I'm not super excited
Yeah,
about. But it's getting to the point where it's starting to look weird that I'm not signed on with somebody.
right.
So, just goals like that, like things that are like, for most people are easily achievable, but for me sometimes it's just tough for. whatever reason. I get like caught up on these little sort of creative mind loops and stuff, and
Yeah,
some of the practical stuff gets away from me, and then I have to remind myself to sit down now and then. It's like, okay, let me work on the stuff that I don't like to deal with today.
yeah, I think artists are the worst promoters ever because we're artists. Like we don't we make the stuff. We should have other people promoting it for us, and we're not always the best self promoters because it's
Right.
like
Well, we're not salesmen. We're not wired like salesmen.
right, right. So even whenever
And
like
that is a craft. I mean, that's why some people are good at it, because it is, it's like any other skill. It's like there are people that are really good at selling stuff. They couldn't create anything really of their
right.
own other than like a good sales pitch.
Yeah, I always thought like publicists were like, God, that has to be like the sleaziest job in the world. But then I thought, now that I've been through bands and, it would really help to have like a manager or someone who's
Yeah.
totally disconnected from the creative process and just is about this is the best thing for y'all to do. We need to do a show here, not here. Let's space this out. We need to have
Yeah.
an album by this time. Like they take care of all that, and we're just over there
Right.
like, all right, what key should this song be in, and where should we go after that? Like
No, it's true. I mean, like I saw an interview with Pete Townsend of the Who, and he was talking about when people saw the Who on stage, they saw four people, but the core of the band was actually six people because it was the publicist guy and the manager. Um, and so yeah, that's the part of the crew that people don't see, and that's often what makes the difference between a band being local and when a band goes like regional or goes national, is that usually by the time they're even going regional, they're starting to at least get their first manager.
right,
And maybe their first couple managers suck before they finally find one that they don't have to fire, who's not going to like rip them off
right.
or whatever. And by that point, yeah, then they're poised to maybe go national or get like a bit like a several states, like a regional thing going.
Yeah. I I don't know how much you've toured before, but I'm 37 now, and that seems like a kick in the dick to me to have to be in a different city every night with
Mhm.
with multiple other dudes and just that grind. I feel like is like didn't the Beatles break up by the time they were like 35 or something? Like it
Oh,
always
by the time they were turning, like by the time the oldest one was turning 30, I think, yeah.
that is insane. They look like old men in some of those pictures,
Yeah.
And
Well, I think they aged fast because they were burning the candle at both ends.
right.
You know? I mean, anybody who is that successful or that top tier level of success, if like you're on tour, it's probably hard to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
Unless you got your whole crew trained to like, okay, I need my effing sleep,
right.
shutting it down. Y'all leave me alone until my alarm clock goes off or whatever. But I mean, and I'm sure some of the top people do that, but it seems like just the lifestyle would, because either before, I think it's sometimes before, sometimes after the show, you have the meet and greet. Um, you've got all this promotional stuff you got to do. Like it's not just playing the show. You've got sound check. You got to go make like local radio
Right.
uh, appearances. There might be some kind of in-store event where you're going to sign stuff and um,
You got to
you
bang
know.
a bunch of groupies. That takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I never really toured per se. I played shows out of town, but it would just be like a like one shot thing, like go
Yeah.
to the other town or city, play the show, drive back the same night. I think
Right.
a couple times we did get a hotel room and like came back the next morning. But yeah, it was always like go there, come back. So I've never done the whole thing like in the back of the van, sleeping on top of the gear.
Right. Right.
in a sleeping bag type of
It's
thing.
like who's the most sober to drive home? Jesus, let's all flip a coin and see how that goes. I we did a run where we went from Lafayette. We played a show in Lafayette one night, and then 2 nights later we went to Baton Rouge, and then the next night we had to play in New Orleans, and
Okay, so that's like a mini tour.
that was like the biggest tour I've ever been on, and it was horrific. I mean, just it was a lot. So I don't know how they do it, but that's again, I guess that's where the managers come in. They're like, "Don't worry, we got a hotel set up for you. Here are your room keys. Here's your per diem. Y'all go get some sleep. Try not to do too much blow, and I'll see you here. I better be on this fucking bus at this time because we're
Try not
leaving."
to eat up all the ramen noodles because that was our last
Right,
stop.
right. Yeah, don't
Long
take
before
anything.
the cocaine shows up.
Yeah, don't raid the mini bar because that's gonna come out of my pocket. My credit card's on the room. Don't throw a TV out the window. None of that shit.
I'm not even sure bands bother to do that anymore. I don't know. It seems like back in the 70s you could luck out and not hit anybody, but I think now you just end up like crushing a toddler or something.
Yeah,
And it's like,
lawsuits.
yeah, no, that would be the end of the band right there.
Yeah. What happened? Well, our lead guitarist and local or vocalist, he's in jail.
Exactly.
Good times though. I mean, okay, so I see you have like some sort. Is that y'all's Christmas tree in the background right there? Those lights going off.
Oh no, that's I just put like a screen loop thing
Oh
back
no,
there.
I'm talking about this on the lamp here.
Oh, this?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I have some kind of tacky Christmas lights up in my room.
dude, we just made like those little LED lights that come on like a rope.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We made a little shitty Christmas tree, and that's our Christmas tree this year. I mean, we've never really
That's
had
cool.
one, and I'm wondering if you can remember like some like childhood Christmas stories if you have any did you
From
ever
like what, back in the day, back in your day or back in the day?
back in your day
Oh wow.
like were you ever like expecting a gift and you didn't get it, or you got like some awesome gift that you weren't expecting, like
No, I mean, Christmas back when I was a kid was awesome, you know. Uh by the time I got to be a teenager, it started to be a different story because life was just getting real, man.
yeah, bro.
Getting brutal. Christmas couldn't smooth things over anymore like it did when I was a kid. But no, I mean, Christmases back in the 70s were like pretty old school. Uh, we had decorations, but they weren't all like super blinged out and on steroids like they are now, where you have like LED lights inside like ornaments and stuff. And
Right, flashing,
you can
it's
like
like a
you,
disco
you can like
ball.
really disco out your Christmas tree if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
But back then it was just a few basic little bulbs that broke really easily, maybe some tinsel and just some basic like, you know, uh white lights. I think it was real fancy the year that we got colored lights on the
Oh
tree. I
shit.
remember that being a thing.
Do they
Or
do
like the
like
first the first like blinking lights,
yeah.
that was a thing, you know. But no, man, I mean, I don't really have any complaints about that. For like me, the whole Christmas thing, it inverted on itself, sort of starting when I was a teenager. And then like by the time you were starting to kick it, like and you were around like in the 90s, it was like a weird thing. It was always a mixture because I really enjoyed seeing everyone, but then at the same time there was a lot of stress. Like I was working these like broke ass minimum wage jobs. I didn't have a whole bunch of money. There were like years where I didn't even show up because I was so embarrassed. Like I didn't have enough money to get gifts for everyone. And it's like do I want to be the guy that shows up that has gifts for like some people,
Right, right.
but
Yep.
then doesn't have gifts for other people? Or then it's like, man,
Oh man,
like
I didn't know you were coming. Oh,
what kind
sorry.
of crap is that going to get stirred up? So it's like, man, so it got to be where it was like it was cool to see everyone, but then it was also stressful. And so it was just a weird mix, man. And now like um I like doing Christmas with the wife, and I pretty much stick to like that because then I don't feel like I have to get these little crappy ass little chinky gifts, you know, these little chimpsy gifts for like, here you go, man. Here's your $4 gift. You're welcome.
Right, right. Here's a
That's kind of weak,
bag of
and it's not even
Mentos.
about the dollar amount. It's about the thought. But yeah,
Yeah, now
it's
we've been
generally not my thing.
we've been doing a thing with my side of the family where it's now all uh like white elephant, I guess they call it, or dirty Santa, whatever. Where
Like
everybody
pull from
that
the hat thing.
no every they used to do that, but now you just show up with a gift and everybody just puts their gift in the middle. And then I guess yeah, you pull numbers and then like number one gets to go pick a gift and then you open it up and you're like, all right, are you gonna keep it? Or do you want to? Oh yeah, I guess the first person has to keep it, and then the
Yeah, that sounds
second.
like some kind of weird white elephant thing or
Yeah,
something,
yeah. So like
or
at
some
the end,
variation of it.
like everybody ends up stealing each other's gift, and it's like very bizarre. But I'm down with it because hey, if I just buy like last year, I think me and my fiance ended up with our own gifts that we brought to the party because we wanted them, and we just ended up stealing them from people. And we was like, "Yeah, this is kind of the best of what I see." So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and take this.
No, I mean, I could see that working if everyone's into it, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean
Um,
it's like a sport at that point, you know. I mean if y'all gonna have rules, I'm gonna win. Like that's y'all want to make Christmas into a damn game? All right, bring it on. So all right,
and it always shifts too. Like once kids get older, it kind of gets easier because like everybody wants to lavish gifts on the like kids.
right,
And
right,
then once they get older, and then it's like, oh man, they're like what, like 14 now? They just want like a $25 Best Buy card or something, man. That's
right.
all.
Yeah.
I mean, so it gets a little easier to like dial it in. But yeah, um, I think sometimes on some families it can put a little bit too much pressure on. But I like your method. If it's like you're basically just purchasing one gift and then putting it into the pot,
Yeah.
that's like a lot better because then you can get something a little nicer, maybe get something that somebody actually wants or might
Yeah. Turn it into a goddamn competition.
want.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back with the Jets LaSala show. Thomas Ayres, my uncle. I forgot. Did I mention that you're my uncle? Does that make it Does that make it any less interesting if it's a family member? I don't know.
uh, it depends, I guess.
That's the only
Depends on
guess
the
I can
family.
get.
I'm always on call, man. I'm always on call for when other people don't show up.
I like that. I like that. Your availability is what do they say? I don't know.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhat accepted.
Yeah. Have you ever dined and dashed in your life?
No, although I did do that once with a friend, but it was on accident and we didn't really dash. It was just one of those knucklehead things where he invited me out for lunch, or I perceived it as, "Hey man, let's like go get lunch." And so I guess I was broke, and I wrongfully assumed that he had money on him, because usually when you make that kind of offer to someone, you think that that person would have some money on them.
Right. Or
But
yeah,
then of course I didn't. So I was already in the position to kind of freeloading a little bit. But I used to do that with friends back in the day, especially back in my like early to mid 20s, because there would be other times where I would float them if they're having a tight week.
Right.
So it was kind of this back and forth thing that I did with my friends. It mostly worked out. There were a couple knuckleheads that took advantage, but I stopped going out to
Right.
like get food with them or whatever. But no, we were at this Tex-Mex restaurant. It was a very satisfying meal. And then at the end, I was feeling pretty chill until he started doing that whole kind of business. And I'm
Oh,
watching him.
like,
I'm like,
where's my
are
wallet?
you good, dude? Are we
He
cool? Are we cool?
has a butt
It's like,
rash.
no, man, we're not cool. And at first he thought he left his wallet in the car. And by this point, the waitress has kind of noticed that something might be up. And then next thing you know, there's like this manager, assistant manager type character, shift leader, something, some sort of supposed position of authority within the restaurant establishment. He also seemed to kind of be looking over at us. And then my friend comes back in and he's like, yeah, I found about $1 worth of change in the seats, but yeah, man, so at that point it was like you got to you have to confront the realita,
You gotta go wash
whether you
some
like it or
dishes.
not. So I just walked up to the cashier lady and I was like, yeah, listen, I'm so sorry. I'm really, really super sorry, but uh yeah, me and my friend, we screwed up. We don't have money to cover the bill. We can wash dishes or whatever. And the look of disgust, I mean, the look of disgust, he was just intense, man. And then the manager, assistant manager, whoever comes out, and then he also is just giving both of us this look of disgust, like we were just mucus on the side of a trash can, in some back alley that you never wanted to ever see ever again. It was like, wow, okay. So it was a pretty humiliating experience, but and actually we did kind of dine and dash because they ended up just being so, I think it was a combination of they couldn't believe how stupid that we were, and then also we were kind of young, and it was just like I think they kind of felt sorry for us, or a combination of pity and disgust
And just
kind of
get the fuck out of here.
together. And yeah, and eventually it was like, just get the F. I can't
Mm,
remember exactly what he said. He might have said hell, but it was something like that. Get the hell
right.
out of here. And so we just left with our tail between our legs. But I learned a very valuable lesson. It's like, don't assume that my knucklehead friends always have cash in their pocket when
Well,
they
the
invite me to go do something.
the number one rule between bros, and this is a code break, all right, or a bro code. If you're gonna invite your bro out for lunch, even more so dinner, you assume whoever's the inviter is gonna pay for the invitee's dinner. That's what I've always gone by.
Yeah, no, I think that is a good way to look at it. With like my friends, I'll go ahead and state it out front to make it more clear to them. Like if I want a treat, I'll say, "I got it, man. I got it."
Right.
And so that's like, yeah, just to put them at ease, like because I don't want them sitting there through the whole meal. Like, yeah, I kind of enjoy this burger, but I've got like
Yeah.
$7 in my pocket, and what if this is an $8 burger?
Right, right, right. Yeah, well, I've I've never actually dined and dashed, but I've been the guy that was coaxed into going to a dinner and only because it was going to be paid for. Like my buddy was obsessed. He was making a lot of money at the time and he was just wanting to blow it. Like he just wanted to go spend money and sit at the bar and, and have drinks. Oh, bring everything, bring more appetizers, da da da. And I I'm not very restauranty because I worked in restaurants and it's just like, I just But he's like, come on, I'll pay, I'll pay, I'll pay. Come on. And I was like, all right, you'll pay. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, even in that situation, I try like to gauge like, do I order this $35 steak or, like you want to kind of be reasonable, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I never done the dash though. I think that might have to be one that I save for like when I'm an old man and I start stealing batteries and shit and I'm just get real senile. I thought I paid. What are you talking about?
I saw a senior citizen do that at Home Depot where he had about 8 bags of like dirt or fertilizer or something on the like little cart. And he just starts kind of, it was on the side of the building where they got the plants and all the stuff, you know. And so it was kind of like the side exit, but they still got a couple cash registers or places to check out lined up where that's obvious that that's where you pay. And they were kind of busy, and I think he thought he could just wing it, man. So he just tried to like get up to, I wouldn't say a brisk pace, but it was like obvious that he was going to try to just kind of roll it out, but at the same time it was sort of comically slow.
Right.
Or like if you were going to pull a burn and just run with your fertilizer, which I mean he probably had like, I don't know, it might have been $100 or a little bit more, $120 of fertilizer. Is that worth like dealing with the cops and stuff over basically 120, $120 worth of like glorified dirt?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
like
it just seemed like an odd thing to pull, but also he looked like he was in his 70s or so, so maybe it was like F it, what are they gonna
yeah,
do?
it's
I'm an old man. I'll play the old man card.
it's a
Oh,
misdemeanor.
I didn't know what,
Yeah, I mean,
play some kind of senile, like, oh, I've got dementia or
my daughter came in and paid for this and told me to come pick it up for her. That
but
kind of thing.
he didn't get that far because there was a big lady that got in front of him and he's like,
Right, right,
sir,
right. Yeah, that's one thing you never want to hear is the stern sir, whether it's in the airport or the bar or
well,
the Home
especially not in the
Depot.
airport nowadays, man,
Yeah.
because they've had so many incidences. Like, they've got, by now they've probably got some kind of SWAT team in the back or
Oh
something that's
yeah.
ready to go, man. I mean, they got passengers that are knocking out flight attendants and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
crazy, man. You'd have to pay me money to fly now. I just, no
All,
way, man.
all those videos are just going to resurface one day when this planet is extinct and they're going to be like, "Oh, this is why. Oh, everyone on this planet was insane." Okay.
Yeah, and
We
why do
understand.
people have to suddenly l- lose their shit on a plane, which is like the worst place that you could think of? Other like a submarine would be worse. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
a submarine's probably even tighter space, but I mean a plane, it's such a tight place. It's like everyone should just relax, lean back in their seat, put on your headphones, whatever you have to do, watch the movie, whatever, chill out, man. Like the name of the game is like chill out. I mean, I feel the anxiety when I'm in a plane, but I know I'm in a sardine can with like, 150 other people or something, or
Yeah.
200 people. It's like you don't want everybody bugging out, man, or it'll just be like when they do the inspection of the plane after the tragedy later, it'll just be like coated in blood and like fingernail marks all along the cabin. Like that's all that's going to be left. I mean, you can't have everybody freaking out. And the
Yeah.
fact that these all these stunts, it's like, man, and that's federal. That's a federal offense.
Oh yeah. You're going away
Um,
for a long time for that. I think when you step onto the plane, they should hand you like a Xanax and a cocktail and just go to sleep. Everyone go to sleep. That's what I do. Have you ever been caught masturbating?
uh, I mean, maybe when I was a teenager, maybe.
I mean, you either know or you know. I mean, it's like
Well, if it did happen, it was so far back, and
you blocked it out of your memory.
yeah, or it could be, yeah. Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff I blocked out of my memory, but no, generally speaking, I usually can sequester myself away.
Right.
There are some people that are into the whole idea of being caught, you know.
Oh yeah,
That's like part of it for them, you know.
in New
When
York.
I worked at a movie theater, I encountered that.
Wow.
Um, not that I ever actually saw it, but it's like a woman would come out of a movie, like in the middle of the movie, when it was kind of quiet in between movies, when all the screens are showing, so it gets a little quieter, and they would come out, and after a while, I knew what they were talking about. They didn't even have to finish their sentence because the sentence would
Oh.
usually start with, "I was watching a movie and there's this man and he sat down next to me." And
Mm.
usually after the first few times that they told me that, before they even finished their sentence, I would just run into the theater because I'd be like, I'm gonna catch this guy.
You got like
'Cause it tended to be the
the
same 2 or 3 dudes that were doing it. It
the
wasn't like 500 different guys were doing it. It was only like 2 or 3 different dudes that were doing it. And
right.
so we kept trying to, like, catch them. But, every theater has emergency exits
Right. So it wasn't
if you go out to the
necessarily
back of the
the
building, so
it wasn't necessarily the picture, like it wasn't a salacious film. It was just
no,
more
it could be
sitting
anything. It
next to
could
a
be like
woman.
it could be Saturday morning or like a Sunday afternoon, uh, I don't know, like Home Alone 2 or something like that. I mean, it didn't have to be anything erotic or anything like that was like titillating or anything like that. And the closest I got to catching the one guy who I think was one of the regular guys that was like doing it, um, I got within probably about 30, maybe I don't know, 35, 40 yards of him, but he just managed to get out into the back alley behind the building and take off. And you
Sad.
know,
Imagine sprinting with a boner. I mean, that has got to be the lowest of the low, you know?
maybe it does it for them though, that running away.
The rush.
Maybe that's the part that really just sinks it, you know?
Yeah. And then he goes home and he's like, yeah, that was cool. I'm gonna beat off to that.
Yeah. Well, it takes all kinds of personalities out there, you know?
Got a lot of scrambled brains out there,
Not
Thomas.
exactly. A lot of damaged snowflakes.
What was the worst date you ever been on?
Uh, well, the for me, the worst was always when they would stand you up and they wouldn't even show up.
Oh shit. Well, that
That was kind of the worst.
yeah, I guess that counts. It's like, yeah, we're gonna be
I
here
mean,
at
you
this
get all
time,
kind of
or
dressed up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
you know, I mean, if you set a time and a destination, I mean, that you're meeting there, that's a stand up. But I'm trying to think, like, if you're picking her up and she just doesn't come out of her house, or like, and I guess this is before cell phone, so you're like, I mean, do I knock and then you knock and then no one comes to the door? Like,
Yeah,
Jesus,
at
that's
least a
harsh.
courtesy call.
Yeah.
Some kind of courtesy call. I mean, back in the day, though, even if they did give you a courtesy call, it might have to be like half an hour before or something.
Right, because you're
You might have
driving, who
already
knows?
left the house, and that was
Yeah.
before cell phones, and so it was like, yeah. No, and the other thing that would be funny after something like that would happen too, not always, but sometimes, is that you might run into the girl like a couple months later, 6 months later, and then they'll pull this line out, something like, "Oh yeah, you never called me back. You never got back to me." It's like, no, we made plans
Right.
and you stood me up.
You're misremembering.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. What was the grocery store you went to when you were growing up?
Well, we kind of moved around a lot. I can't
Oh,
remember
that's
like
true.
the
That's
old
true.
old school one, like in Illinois or any of that. But when we were in Louisiana, when we were like around the Jonesboro, and then like Ruston area, Winfield, up there in like north central Louisiana. Back in the day, it was the Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, bro.
That was the place, man, and that was before Walmart came in. That was before a lot of change came in. But yeah, I remember the Piggly Wiggly for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
We
and
were
then early bird, like when the family first moved to Houston, early 80s, like around 82, there was this place, Weingartens, which was like one of the main chains, and they were pretty cool too. Weingartens.
wine gardens.
They're no longer around. They got bought out. I think they got bought out by like Randall's or something.
Right.
Uh,
Did uh did Pawpaw and BB let you pick out like a snack every time y'all went to the grocery store or like a
oh
treat?
hell no, dude.
Really?
No. No, well, I mean, you know, our mom, she like handled most of the shopping and stuff. But no, I mean, it would be like every now and then, but it wasn't like every single time.
Right.
No. Um, no, that I mean, there was also like more like back in the day, there was more like homemade stuff too.
Right.
Like the like my grandparents, your great grandparents would like on my dad's side, uh they would like make stuff. So there would be sweets around, or there would be pies or cakes and stuff like that.
Maybe some pralines, some
Yeah, there was some of that southern type stuff, pecan pie. Uh
yeah,
I like a good pecan pie. I was never really as much into the pralines stuff. That seemed like really old school, like even back then. That was kind of like an old
damn.
school.
It's made a comeback, man. They sell it
Really?
everywhere.
Well, I think in certain parts of Louisiana it never really went away.
Right, right. They just improved the batch, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they like added some spices or something
Yeah,
to it.
I'm talking about it like it's meth or something. Yeah, we got to get this batch better. What was the first vacation you went on that you can actually remember vividly?
Uh, wow, actual vacation. Well, see, we sort of had vacations every summer, like when we lived in Naperville, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. We would come down during the summers, and my first several experiences on that property, the old family property,
Right,
the Ayres property, my first experiences were with that was when I was a little kid. We're talking like early to mid 70s, when we still lived up north and we would come down for the summers. But when we came down, we'd be down for like at usually like at least a week, maybe a couple weeks sometimes. So that was my first experience with the property way back then. So for me, that was like a vacation because I hadn't gotten used to it yet. Like after a while, once the family moved down to Louisiana and we were living in Jonesboro and stuff, then it wasn't like anything that was quite as exciting anymore because
right.
I was there like all of the time. Um, like
Well,
me and your uncle Scott, we like spent entire summers there, like with the like grandparents. So at that point, it wasn't really like a vacation. It was just like, okay, it's summer camp. You're hanging with it with your grandparents. Bye. We'll see you
right.
in like a couple months.
Go
You know,
chase some grasshoppers and try not to get bit by a snake.
right? Exactly.
Cause y'all were like city boys at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I mean suburban kids. We weren't like city, like we weren't from Chicago, but yeah, I mean compared to the local kids, we were more urban for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's bizarre. I mean, my mom, your sister talks all about how having to move. What was that like having to go from school to school and be the new kid? And did they march you up in front of the class and like, this is Thomas.
oh
Thomas,
yeah,
tell us
oh
three
yeah.
things about yourself.
No, it wasn't so much tell us things about yourself. They would say, tell them where you're from or something like that, and then you could go sit down. Um, I don't know. It was a blessing and it was a curse because like the curse part of it was that you're always the new kid. You always have some bully that like thinks they're going to prove themselves. because you got the bully and then you got the one or two henchmen, the little dudes that stand on the side and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
right, yeah. Which, if you can kick the bully's ass, the two other guys like disappear instantly.
Right. Right.
So that was one trick I learned. Punch the main bully first,
Yeah.
you know, get into it with them, because if you could, you know, take care of it one way or the other with them, the other dudes take off. But yeah, there was some bullying and stuff, but there was a big advantage of it too, because I got to see um different parts of the country. I got to see different types of people, kids from different socioeconomic layers of society. Um, and so, it gave me some insights that would help later in life. Even by the time I was like an early teenager, on certain levels, I was a little bit more aware of some stuff going on than some of the other kids were that just grew up with the same friends their
Exactly.
whole life. But that's also a cool experience, to grow up with the same group of friends throughout school and have like more of a bond. So I missed out on some of that, but I was also able to see through some of the adults and some of their BS, because
Oh
I had been
yeah.
around enough. I had been around enough. But there were kids I met, like even in junior high and high school, that had it even worse than me, because they were like army brats or navy brats, air force brats, uh marines, parents that were serving, and so they might move like once every 6 months.
Damn. Yeah. I mean that to me, there are benefits of both, like you said, but God, the army stuff where it's just like, oh, we're gonna be in South Carolina for a while. Now we're going to Virginia. Now we're
Yeah.
going to, what the fuck, Maine. And it does make you well-rounded and sort of versatile, but
Mhm.
also, it has to suck. Like I was a teacher when I was in New York, and then again down here, and you develop bonds with some of the students and some of the teachers, and then all of a sudden you just never see those people ever again for the rest of your life. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I'm just too sentimental, but for some reason that like still stings. Like,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
I'll
No, of
never
course.
see. I had deep conversations with some of these people, and I'll never see them again.
Right.
So it's just like it's very strange.
Well, and the more it happens to you, the easier it sort of gets,
Right.
which again is blessing and curse, because it's a blessing because there are going to be times in your life where you will need to cut ties with people if you change a job, or if you move from like one coast to the other coast. There's going to be a few people that fall out of your life, and it's not your fault, it's not their fault. It's just life.
Right.
And so you do need to have some ability to cut some ties now and then, or especially if there's someone unhealthy in your life or something. Like I have people that I know that they get really freaked out about having to cut someone out of their life. Like they have this need to, like, no, I need to be friends with everybody. I need to, I things have to stay cool. Like I can't have things socially get awkward. And I'm just like, no, dude, if they're being a jerk to you, cut them loose, man.
Right.
Cut them loose. Like time is short on this earth. We don't have a lot of time to F around with people. I mean, if they're toxic for you, if they're not helping you, if they're always putting you down and treating you like crap, cut them and just move on. But the the curse side of it again is that you move around a lot. You get used to being able to cut people loose. So sometimes what you have to watch out for is doing it too quickly,
Ah, okay, yeah.
or starting to get callous.
Yeah.
Like, so that's like a danger too, because it is easier to detach from people. So I don't know. I mean, I like to look at the positive sides of it. Like whatever happens, like even if something bad happens, I try to see, okay, well, if I learned a lesson, if I learned something about human nature,
Right.
with other people that I have to watch out for. If I learn something about myself, then maybe that was a rough time, that was an ugly time, but I can move on and just say, well, I learned my lesson, and I'm not going to, find myself in that exact situation again. So I don't know. I mean, we all get dealt a hand of cards. We just have to play them, and there's a lot of people that have been dealt a way worse hand than I've been dealt.
Right. Same
And
here.
so I just try to keep that in mind. I try to keep it in perspective, um, and not let like the things that you can't control, there's no use in letting them get the best of you because it's just out of your hands. There's nothing you can do. So just try to keep a grasp on the things that you can control and then just let the rest of it go. I know you and I have talked about Bill Burr before. He's one of my favorite stand-ups right now. Has been for several years now. And he has a really great bit. I won't try to do the whole bit. You've probably seen it because it's on one of his comedy specials. I think on one of his Netflix specials. But he has this bit that he does where he's talking about curling. Uh, and he's talking about like usually the countries in the Olympic curling competition that do the best are like the Canadians or whatever. Like Norway will have a really good run where they'll get a bunch of gold in curling or whatever. But he's talking about going to therapy, and for him it was like anger management. He was talking about like he had to eventually look into some therapy because it was just like his girlfriend was telling him, "Man, you got to get a handle on this. You're like just blowing up at people, and it's getting out of hand. It's affecting the relationship." And so then he figured out through like therapy and doing some of his own research and stuff that basically it's not like you got all this shit in your life and all these hang-ups and stuff, and you're just like with the shovel, like shoveling it out. It's like, no man, it's not like that. I used to think it was like that. It's like in curling where they get that little kettle or whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah.
and they get lined up, and they got their angle, and they're moving, and you got the little sweeper person in front of
Yeah.
it, it all smooth as glass for that thing to slide over. They're just getting it real smooth, and then they just get right up to the point, and then they just let that shit go, man.
Yep. It's fucking
And
beautiful.
for me, when he told that joke, that was a really powerful image in my mind that has like helped, and I was laughing, but it's because it's hilarious. But at the same time, it's totally true. It's like that's how you deal with that type of shit. You just have to like whatever the baggage is or whatever it is you feel like that's holding you back. You just have to like get that shit lined up and then just like let it go, man.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
I mean that's a really great point, but also the guy in charge of letting the kettlebell go, he can't then go grab a broom and start helping. I don't think. Is that in the rules? Like
No, no, no.
he
I think it's the shooter or whatever they call him, and
right.
then it's the broom guy.
So then you're just like, here we go. And
Yeah,
then and you're just like
that's
kind of
it.
stand there, and you're like, well, these
Or it's
dudes better
like,
not fuck it up.
right, exactly. Or it's like Apollo 13 in the movie where they're trying to get back, and they've only got about 30 seconds of thruster left in
Right,
the
right,
tank. And so this is like once there's no more left in the tank, it's like that's it. So whatever position that they hit,
right,
that's their entry trajectory. And to get a proper entry trajectory, they've only got like about a 2-degree window.
right.
So and the marker for it is in case of like a fail safe was marked on the like inside of the window or whatever,
Yeah,
because that was
yeah, yeah.
fail safe. If the computer wasn't working for the guidance system or whatever, they could do it manually, but that's like a last ditch effort. And so they rehearsed that scenario along with like 500 other emergency scenarios, but then suddenly it's like they're in the freaking emergency where they have to do it.
Right.
So in the movie they make it seem more dramatic than I think it probably actually was, but because in the movie they're like flipping out and like, no, no, get back,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 come on. But like the only thing that mattered, ultimately the only thing that mattered was like once they get it locked in within that 2-degree window, okay, let it go.
Right. And
Get
then,
your finger off of the thruster.
yep.
It's
Let's
going like this, it's going like this, it's going like this, and then as soon as you get it locked on, stop. You're
right.
done. So
Damn, dude, you're old. You actually got to see that shit live, huh?
Uh, no, I don't quite like the Watergate hearings. I don't quite remember. Maybe some, because I do have some early memories. I might remember a little bit of like the around the time of the last mission was like in 72 or something like that. I think 72, 70, was it 73? No, no. Well, actually, it might have been up to 74 as far as the Apollo mission. So I might have a little memory of some of that being on TV. Maybe not the live stream because that was probably
Right.
on in
Yeah.
the morning. But like some of the commentary, I think I remember. I mean, when I was a little kid in like grade school, like first and second grade, I used to draw pictures of like the Apollo rocket and stuff like that in
Right.
the different section, the like booster and the module, the command module, and all the different sections of it. I used to draw pictures of it. Um, but yeah, like some of that cool stuff from the early 70s, I don't really remember, like the Watergate hearings. I don't remember seeing them on TV. I mean, my parents were at work, so I was at school or whatever. But I remember hearing the adults talk about Watergate. When they would sit around, because man, back in the day, there were only like three channels on TV, and people just used to sit around and talk.
Here's my
I
question.
mean, for
Okay,
hours and hours, the adults would just be talking for hours. Then there'd be some drinking going on and some cigarettes and
some conspiracy theories flying around. Why did
yeah,
they?
I don't know.
Okay,
It's just more like news of the day mostly.
so it was the Watergate Hotel, right? But now, anytime there's some sort of conspiracy, they just add gate to the end of it,
Right, right.
which doesn't really make sense. Like, whenever the only thing I can think of is in sports where Tom Brady got caught apparently deflating some of the footballs in the playoffs so he
What
could
was that called? Inflate gate,
deflate gate.
deflate gate. Okay.
But why did they put the gate on it? The gate had nothing to do with it. It was the Watergate motel or hotel. Like, some of these things, I think we're living in a simulation and it's kind of off its hinges a little bit and nothing's.
There's a good argument for that. I think there's a decent argument for that. Seriously.
Would you
Uh
let Elon Musk put a Neuralink in your brain?
I wouldn't let him do it.
Him
Uh
personally?
him personally for sure, but no, I mean, if it was an Elon Musk company, I probably wouldn't go along with it. But I wouldn't want Zuckerberg handling it either. I mean, that whole metaverse thing
That
just
looks
looks creepy
ridiculous.
AF, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of corporate boring and super creepy, kind of all rolled together. Oh, sort of like that TV, that like new TV show, Severance. Have you seen? Well, I say TV,
Yes.
streaming.
Yes.
Have you
Very
seen
good.
Severance?
Where you just
Oh man, that's one of my favorites,
you
man.
check in, you don't remember shit, and then you
Right.
clock out.
Yeah, and season one was a real banger, man. I really enjoyed the season one, so I cannot wait for season two. Sometimes you'll have a really good show, but the first season it's not even fully amped up yet. It's
Right.
not fully like 100% yet. But man, Severance, they just really, by the end of the first season, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. I think we haven't gotten to the because we went down a whole Breaking Bad thing where my fiance, she hadn't seen Breaking Bad in a while and she forgot a bunch of stuff. She binged it, so she was like, so we watched basically like the last two seasons just to get a refresher, and then
Oh yeah.
we started on Better Call Saul, and so now we're on like the last five episodes of that, and then
Sweet.
we watched the Breaking Bad movie, which is like we watched it all out of order. So if you haven't seen
Right.
any of that shit, you got to start with Better Call Saul, then do Breaking Bad, then do the movie. That is not how it came out.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I wish I would have
Uh,
known.
uh,
I wish I could, do the Men in Black thing, erase my brain, and just watch it all in sequential order. Either way, you always worry that the first season is just going to be way too good to continue on. And
right.
then,
Well, and that happens a lot, you
yeah,
know.
But I love
Okay.
all the actors on it, and they're bringing in one of my favorite actresses, the girl from Arrested Development, Alia Shawkat. I think I'm
Oh
saying
yeah.
her name
Okay.
right. She's gonna be in there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Well, like what you guys did following the chronology with Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and the movie. What was the movie? El Camino?
El Camino, yeah.
Yeah. I want to do that too eventually. I'm not quite ready to go back and do it all the way through
Yeah,
again, but
maybe 10 years from now, I'll
oh no, I
start it.
mean maybe yeah, I could maybe even do it in 2023. I've been kind of itching to like do that. Uh, but like the thing with a show like that, it's like I think it takes a couple times watching it to like really get everything. Like I first watched it on my own for like the first well no, I guess I did watch it all the way through. I took a couple breaks like on Breaking Bad. Well, spoiler alert, but on Breaking Bad, I guess there might be two people out there that haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Uh like whenever Mike got killed,
Right.
that really messed me up. I had to take a break from watching it for about 2 solid weeks because it basically fucked me up. I was like, just the way that they killed him was just it was just so pathetic, and I was like,
Also, I was just telling Maddie, my girl, I think Mike is my favorite character.
yeah, well, yeah,
He's my
yeah,
favorite character. He's like, listen, you're gonna go over here. You're not gonna do anything stupid. Why don't you fucking calm down? Have a seat. All right. Da, 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 da. Like he's just like, and then he's with like his granddaughter, and he's like, but he's also like keeping an eye on shit. You know, like
yeah,
I loved his character.
yeah. No, it like messed me up whenever he got killed. Um, But yeah, so I watched it the second time with my wife, watched it all the way through, and then I watched Better Call Saul with her. So, and we like that final season of Better Call Saul was done so perfectly, though the way that they wrap it up. I won't say anything.
Yeah, yeah. We got
I
four
won't say
more
anything
episodes,
else,
I
but
think.
no,
Yeah.
you're not going to be disappointed the like way that they wrap it up. They managed to pull it off somehow. They managed to pull it off without it being cheesy or which just amazed me. I mean that uh Gilligan guy is
Yeah.
and I think he got started or one of his first big shows that he wrote for was the X-Files.
Ah, that makes
That seems
sense.
like that would be a great show to cut your teeth on.
Yeah, I
As far
remember.
as learning how to weave in these different storylines, different conspiracy threads, and
Right.
sometimes they connect and sometimes they don't. And
Right.
it's all you've got all these different layers going on at the same time.
Yeah,
And
there
X-Files was really like that. I used to love that show too, just the different plot lines that they had going on.
there are definitely shows where I can have on in the background and play my PlayStation and kind of watch and play simultaneously. I can't do that with Breaking Bad
Right.
or any of those. Like, you got to pay it. Like, if you miss one thing, it's like, wait, what was that? Who was that guy? Wait, why'd they kill him? Wait, what? You know, like so. Well, I
And
mean,
shows like that are good, like we were like I guess I already mentioned, but like, going back and watching them again, or maybe I didn't get to it, but like it uh with a quality show like that, you go back and watch it a second time and you see all this cool stuff
right.
that
There
you
are
didn't
different
see the first time.
wrinkles.
Even if
Of,
you were paying attention, there'll be stuff that you missed
right.
the first time. So yeah, any show like that, I think it's worth going back watching at least a second time.
What's
Um,
the most shameful show you've ever been a fan of, or your guilty pleasure of a show?
hmm. Probably something really cheesy like Cheaters.
Oh, that's not. Oh, that's perfect. That's. I mean,
I
even
always
if it
felt like
is,
an idiot when I was watching that show, and I knew it was like a trashy show, but I just didn't care because it was funny as hell.
and sort of staged, but
Oh, it's totally,
yeah.
totally staged. Oh yeah.
But the intrigue is enough for me to watch, and then
Well, I like that. I have to specify though. I like my favorite seasons are the Joey Greco seasons.
okay,
Those
yeah, he got
Like that's
stabbed,
like
right?
classic cheaters. I'm down with the classic cheaters
Right, right.
because they had a couple other hosts after that, and one of them got didn't he get arrested for assault or something like that?
The only thing I know about that show is that Greco got stabbed, and actually one of my favorite comedians, Duncan Trussell, I went to see him in New Orleans, and he had Joey Greco as one of his guests, and he just talked about the whole story, and it was fucking unreal. Just like he's like, yeah, we're just filming this thing, and everything's not to spoil it, but it's kind of staged, and then all of a sudden I got stabbed, and it's like, what the fuck?
And then the shit got real.
Yeah, like okay, this is what we're doing now. All right. So yeah, so mine is Housewives, the Real Housewives, because my girl is addicted to every single franchise, the fucking New York, the New Jersey, the Potomac. They have a Salt Lake City one now, the Orange County. I
Wow.
mean, they have all these rich bitches, and then they're just always going at each other. And so that's a show that I can have on in the background, and she can be watching it and I can be playing my game.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just like, just kind of be like listening to the dialogue and look over every once in a while. And I'm just like, these
Well,
bitches
that's
are crazy.
I think that's essential for a relationship. You have to have some common denominator shows that you can have on. Um, yeah, like sometimes I'm hanging out with the wife and we'll put on a documentary, some subject that she's not particularly interested in, and she'll be on her phone half of the time, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm cool with it. I'm like, yeah, this and there's other times where uh she'll be watching something, I'll come in, sit down with her for a while, and she'll be watching a show that I'm not really into, like something like New Girl. Have you seen that one?
No. What is that?
It's just like a situation comedy type of deal. Does it have a Zoe Deschanel? How would you say her name?
Oh, Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah, or, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
at
I think
least
that's
at
like
least
her
she's
show.
like at least she's cute, Like all these Real Housewives are like in
It's
their
a very cute show, definitely. Um, but yeah, if I was gonna watch something like that, I'd probably maybe just like watch a Arrested Development or
Oh, that's a great show. Yes.
Seinfeld. Actually, now and then, I'll go back and watch old episodes of the Larry Sanders Show.
Oh shit, that's a deep cut. I like that.
Yeah, and like a lot of people got their start or had cameo
Yep.
part. Speaking of Better Call Saul, he played the uh, I think he played Gary Shandling's character's agent for like a
Perfect.
couple episodes.
He's been
He was like,
preparing
yeah,
for
no, he was like the perfect kind of sleazy agent, but then he ended up getting him a huge raise. So it's like, well, that's why agents exist.
Right. Well,
Do the dirty work.
Mr. Show, I mean, with uh Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. Did you ever see that sketch show?
Back in the day, no, I don't think I saw it until years and years later when they would show like clips of it,
I mean,
and it
it's
was like a legendary thing. But I don't think I even knew it existed when it was out.
yeah, no, me
I
either,
didn't
but
always have cable.
I caught up on it like, maybe 10 years ago when I was pretending to go to college. And it was just like some of the sketches were really funny, some of them were really corny, but it was just like the live action comedy SNL kind of thing at times, and there were a bunch of like no names that now are famous.
Yeah, it's always interesting to go back and watch some of those shows because um you see people that back at the time, people that were watching the show was like, oh, this person over here, they're going to be the big star.
Right,
But then years later, it turns out this person did do some other things, but they had kind of, like an average career. But
right,
meanwhile, this other person and it's somebody in the cast that you would never have thought in a million years was going to become like a huge star.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, like
So,
perfect example that, well, just real quick, I'll say a perfect example for me was like on that 70s show. Um, you know, I'd look at like the Mila Kunis character. It was an okay character, but I didn't really have any idea that she was going to blow up and get really like huge.
right.
Or a Ashton Kutcher. I thought it was going to be like the like main guy, or the skinny lanky guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of any of the characters, but
Wilder
uh
Valderrama, the guy that played the foreign
the
guy.
son.
Yeah. I never
Oh yeah,
watched the
yeah.
show.
Oh really? Okay. Well, maybe that's not the best example, but you like know what I'm talking about. Like shows that you watch, and the people that end up being the huge breakout stars are not always the people that you think when you're watching the show.
Right. The only thing I know about that
That's
show
always
is
interesting.
one of the guys got like a bunch of sexual assault charges
Oh,
dropped.
Masterson.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
it was like a
Yeah, the curly haired
mistrial.
guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was a mistrial, but I'm sure he was up to no good.
Scientology, man.
Yeah, dude. I
Wow,
forgot that he was a Scientologist. Holy shit.
man.
Yeah, well, hey, at least we're not Scientologists, right?
No, man. Dodge that bullet.
Ooh. I'm just a agnostic atheist, and I plan to stay that way.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to it's a good place to be, I think. Yeah, I'm somewhere in that same area. We chatted about that a little bit last time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of consider myself agnostic, but then I do have some sort of spiritual type leanings, not really religious in nature per se, because I think when man gets involved in uh you know giving you the information in place of God, that's where the fuckery starts.
That's
Because it's like,
where
no, 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 you don't get to go straight to God. You got to come talk to the elders, or you got to come talk to the high priests, and then we'll go talk to God. So it's like, no, fuck that.
yeah. And then you throw in the simulation theory, and then it's a three-headed monster in my head. I would say my dream would be the movie Defending Your Life. I don't know if you've seen, it's an old movie with fuck, it's gonna
Defending your life.
Defending Your Life. It's a great
Huh.
movie from the 90s. It's
Okay, I might have to go look that one up.
god damn it, you're gonna make me Google who is in Defending Your Life. Albert Brooks. Yes.
Oh, okay.
1991. So basically this guy dies and they make him watch his whole life, and it's like he's in like a fucking courthouse, and he has like a lawyer and an attorney, and they're all like trying to determine whether or not he needs to go back and redo his life over again, or if he gets to move on.
Wow.
And it's like this level system. It's like, oh, I'm a level 375. I've already conquered all these things, and then like he's like, this is my first time through. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And like they show clips of him in like middle school, like getting beat up, and they were like, stop that clip. What should you have done there? And he was like, I
Wow.
don't. It's a really really good movie. So,
I might go back and check that out. What parts of what you were describing remind me of that recent Marvel series Loki. Have
oh
you
really?
watched any of Loki?
So I've never seen a Marvel movie. Um, I I don't hate superhero movies. I just don't get into them, I guess.
Okay.
If there was one you could suggest to me, which would it be?
Well, I actually Loki would be a good one because it's a TV show, so it's not like having to
Oh,
sit
okay.
through an entire movie. Um, but and it's got Owen Wilson in it. Uh,
Okay. I like him.
uh, it's got a couple other people you would recognize in it. But it's got a good sort of a multiverse type of thing going on where there's different timelines that have split off from the main timeline. Um, and then there's this like aliens or whoever have set up this system where they can correct the timeline. Because if they don't correct the timeline, the universe starts to pull itself up.
Oh shit.
Um, and the Loki character, he's like the brother of Thor, and he's like basically he's sort of a supervillain, but he's sort of like the likable supervillain because every now and then he'll do something nice to get himself out of like trouble or something.
Right.
But then people lighten up on him a little bit, and then of course he turns into a total bastard again. But so it's, I mean, um, that one is good. WandaVision is also good. Like if you're not into the movies, but you just
I've
want to get
heard
a little
I've
taste.
heard that's good too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a short series. It's only got like 8 or 10 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I
So
think I think Maddie watched that one without me, so maybe she'll be obliged to give it another shot. Well, look,
oh,
man.
and actually, well, no, just one more I'll mention real quick. As far as an actual movie that is good, that is technically a superhero movie, but it's kind of an anti-superhero movie, which might be right up your alley, would be the Joker with
Oh, with Heath Ledger or no, with
no, no, it was the
Joaquin
those are the
Phoenix?
Batman movies. No, it like came out just a handful of years ago. Joaquin.
Joaquin, okay, yeah. That's the one. Yeah. Where he's like dancing down the stairs. I've seen
Right,
that.
right.
Okay.
No, it's basically like the Joker, his
It's
uh
like origin story.
origin story. Right.
Okay.
But it's like really, really gritty, well done. There's no like, Superman coming in like the cape and the like colored underwear or none of that. It's like really hardcore urban, you
Right
know.
on.
Why am I not remembering that actor's name? I feel weird. But
Yeah, no, I've been meaning to see it. And yeah. As soon as we finish up this Better Call Saul shit, we have all kind of movies and shows we have to watch. But I mean, look, sometimes you got to finish a series. You got to finish the binge before
oh
you
yeah.
introduce new ideas to your brain there, or else you'll forget what the hell's going on because smoke a little weed and you're like, wait, who's this guy? It's like that's the main character.
What's that envelope doing on that desk? When did they
Right.
put that?
Yeah.
2 seasons
You're like
ago,
that has nothing to do with anything. What are you talking about?
2 seasons ago, somebody put that envelope on the desk, and they only showed it for like 3 seconds, and I missed it. So it's like, wait, where did that envelope come
I
from?
gotta go back to the beginning. I'm sorry. Thomas Ayres, thank you so much for joining the Jesse LaSala show for the second time. I hope you will be a repeat offender. And until next time, don't die.